Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about the rumored R7 Mark II, the new changes that we're expecting, and whether or not it's worth waiting for. Right off the bat, let's talk about the sensor. It is expected to be a 40 megapixel sensor, so that's a massive bump from the 32.5 that you can find on the current R7. So that's more detail in images, which is a very welcomed upgrade. Another rumor is that this camera is going to have two versions. One obviously being the successor of the R7 and another one that's aimed more at video. So interesting if this turns out to be the case, one R7 Mark II and one R7V or something like that. Now, one of the most interesting rumored specs of this camera is that it's not going to have a mechanical shutter. It's going to be fully electronic. That's a bit surprising, especially if you take into account that the rolling shutter on the R7 is quite noticeable. It is noticeable on the R6 Mark II, which I have. I have made a video about this if you want to check it out. Now, if it is fixed, if they fix the issues with rolling shutter, then am I going to miss a mechanical shutter? No, not at all. Bring it. Silent shooting, faster frames per second is just the best of both worlds. But if it is still noticeable, if there's still rolling shutter, for sports photography, I think that's a no-no. In some sports, you can really tell there's rolling shutter. So for example, I shoot a lot of hurling, camogie. You can see the bats sometimes are not fully straight. When you're tracking subjects and there's posts at the end, say for rugby or for hurling, you can see they're bent slightly, so they're not vertical. That's also not good. Some of the balls, instead of being completely circular, they become oval. So that's one of the reasons, or the main reason, I'm not shooting fully electronic yet. For some sports, mechanical, in my opinion, is still the way to go. Now, if the R7 Mark II eliminates completely the mechanical shutter, as long as the rolling shutter is fixed, no problem. If it isn't, I don't think it's a very wise choice. Continuing with that train of thought, faster frames per second, bigger file sizes because of the increase in megapixels. Does that mean that we're going to stick with SD cards, or is there going to be room for, say, a CF Express Type B card in the camera? Time will tell. You would assume that with bigger files and faster frames per second that you would want at least one of the slots to be able to keep up and not hit that buffer too fast. So it'd be a nice upgrade as well if one of the card slots is also improved. Now, one thing I do hope they fix is the ability to have a battery grip. This is not the R7, this is the R6 Mark II. It obviously has a battery grip. When the R7 was launched, I made a video complaining about the fact that Canon did not allow for a battery grip. And boy, do people have opinions, especially when the one in the video does not agree with them. To be honest, I couldn't care less. I will always give my opinion, and I think that was a massive, massive fail from Canon. If you think about it, having the grip is not just for the extra battery, it's also for the ergonomics, the weight balancing. It just feels better. You can take pictures in portrait mode without having to do some weird positions. It's just so much better. And I don't understand why Canon decided, no, the R7 cannot have a battery grip. Well, I have my guess. My guess is that if they did, there's a possibility that it would steal sales, so to speak, from the models above it. It would make it even more appealing, because the R7, it is a phenomenal camera for the price, especially in sports photography. If you're just starting out, and I still say that about the R7, I think it's a fantastic camera for someone starting out. But why not allow people to have a battery grip is beyond me. The only thing I can think of is money, and that's it. So Canon, if you're listening, the R7 Mark II, it better have a battery grip, because that would be absolutely fantastic. And finally, the price. How much is the R7 Mark II going to cost? We don't know that yet. Especially in the world that we live in today, with all the wars going on and the tariffs in the US, is that going to affect supply and demand? Is that going to affect pricing? I don't know, time will tell, but I would be surprised if the pricing is too different than the R7 when it came out. Obviously, with every camera, gradually the pricing decreases, especially when a new model is about to come out. So the R7 nowadays can be purchased for much less than when it came out. But the R7 Mark II, I would assume that the pricing will be roughly the same as the R7 had when it was launched. And to wrap it up, here is a table of the specs on the R7 Mark II, well, the rumor specs versus the ones on the R7. And I ask you a question: if you already have the R7, is this worth the upgrade? Is this worth waiting for? And for those of you that don't have a camera and are thinking, oh, I want to get into sports photography, is this a good camera to be waiting for? That one I can answer absolutely yes. For the features that you get, for the money that you pay, it is an extremely good value for money. Time will tell, we'll have to wait and see. It is expected to come out at the end of 2025. But again, rumor video, rumored camera, we don't know yet, we'll have to wait. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Till next time, take it easy guys, stay safe.